Welcome back, everyone. It's a lovely day in the neighborhood. Did you bring your sponsor book?
I did not.
Inside joke, you're going to have to go see Adirondack Theatre Festival. It's productions to know what we're talking about. That was very clever, by the way.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we need to have an interview about what we actually need to talk about.
Let's do it.
This is Chad Rabinovitz, producing artistic director for the Adirondack Theatre Festival, soon to be producing director of the Death Star, and we'll get into that in a minute. I have to talk about Loch Ness. I've been talking about it on air.
Thank you for doing it.
Well, just a wonderful show. Chad, I'm telling you, the level of writing, producing, staging, acting, the clever way the scenes and the sets were moved and designed and whatever, and the heartwarming story was just so over the top. It's world class, I'm telling you.
I appreciate it. That's what we're aiming for. I've been promoting it as Broadway on Glen Street, so yeah. I'm glad that people are saying I'm not full of it.
Not at all. I think the other day I mentioned to our viewers, it's a field of dreams. You built it, and they're coming. You know.
I'm thrilled about that too. I mean, we're almost sold out for the whole run of this show, so great. Yeah.
All right, I want to talk about just a bit. There are a few tickets left. Yeah, I really encourage you. Saturday matinee, if you can, would be the time probably to get the best seats.
That's the only time you can get seats at this point. Yeah,
I love it. It's a story that's very hard to sort of describe, except to say it's a young girl who goes through a personal tragedy. Her father's a researcher. They're up on Loch Ness, and the Loch Ness Monster plays a role in it. And but it's so Disney-esque in its sort of heart, right?
Yeah, it's got that grand scale, but a small story that everyone can connect with. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's about family and togetherness and growing up, and it's heartfelt, and it's also epic, an epic adventure at the same time.
Well, you know, in the years that we've known each other, Tesla would be the one that I would say I really understood when I saw Tesla, how you approach this in terms of your creativity, in terms of what you go after in a story. When you cast something like Loch Ness, and then I want to talk about Jedi. Okay. When you cast something like Loch Ness, how involved is that process? The actors across the board, from the girl to the woman who does the monster, to the father, to the captain, everybody is just like you'd expect to see them in New York or London.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a long process. A couple months. We work with a casting director in New York City, and the whole creative team, me and the director and the writers, are all in a room together, and we see a lot of people, and then we cast from that. Mm-hmm. We're fortunate that Gabby Pizzolo, who played Haley, the young girl who's just ridiculous, she played Matilda in Matilda on Broadway, and she was in Fun Home on Broadway. She was attached to this when it was just a reading of a script. Mm-hmm. So she was already on the list prior, and then we search for everyone and build the team around her.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you got one opportunity, Saturday afternoon, a matinee, to see this absolutely spectacular performance. You're chasing it with one. I don't know how you're going to turn this around in 3 days. How are you going to build Star Wars set in 2 or 3 days?
It's massive.
Okay, yeah. So let's talk about Jedi.
Yeah. Don't expect to see me in between Saturday when it closes and this one going up. It's a big story too. Coming of age story about a kid who grows up with the original Star Wars trilogy. So we get to check in on his life as each new film is released. Mm-hmm. So the first film comes out, and he's a young kid in elementary school, learning to make friends and adapt to a new town that he's moved to with a little help from the Force. Mm-hmm. And then 3 years later, as the next film is coming out, he and his new best friend are now meeting girls for the first time. And it really transports you back about what it was actually like to go through that process, and what it was like to start to have something that you care about so much. And that's why you have friends when you're young, right? You like the same thing, and you can connect on that. And now when you bring new people into that, and girls or anyone that you're interested in, how do you share that when you don't share those necessarily the same things? So they're trying to figure out sharing their Star Wars reenactments. And then the third episode is when they're 3 years older, and the third film is coming out, and they're having to sell away some of their toys in a yard sale, and the friend is moving away. So it's ultimately about whether growing older means that you have to grow up.
Grow up. I was just going to say that. It's nice. It mirrors the movies in a way, so that you'll know, any of us that went through this. I think we all went through it, by the way. That you make these connections, and you make the personal connections for remembering what it was like when you were that age, right? And you were going through that. And it's wonderful that it's connected to the Star Wars story. Because, and Chad and I were talking about this before the interview, that, there are certain things that go beyond. Star Wars is a movie, if you want to just say it. But it's it's a piece of culture.
Yep.
And so many things have been written about how it it respects mythology, it respects spirit, it respects religion. It respects all of the things that we are affected by as individuals, wrapped in the story of a movie. So you're taking that and adapting that story and into a play.
Yeah, and the cool thing about it, because it is a part of our culture and it's not about just whether you've seen the films, this works for whether you've seen it or you're the biggest fan, or you've never seen it at all.
Right, but that's the point.
Because it's a story that's just about the human condition and about us growing up. We all can connect with it. We just do it in the framework of Star Wars that makes it a whole lot more fun for all of us to play with. So you're in for a heartwarming, hysterical, nonstop funny, but also very sweet and moving, nostalgic-filled evening.
Well, you know what? I know enough about the work that Chad does to tell you that when he touches it, it's got a core, it's got a heartbeat going on, and I'm sure that this one is no exception. So get tickets while you still can get tickets. The run is July 20 to July 27, I think, right?
That's correct.
Yes, good. It's again, it's fun, it's heartwarming. You know Star Wars, you relate to a lot of things, but if you don't even know Star Wars, it's about the human condition, and it's about just that. It's just about life, right?
How do you get through as a kid?
Yeah, that's right.
That's what it's about.
I'm still trying to figure that one out. Right? I don't understand it.
We'll do another sequels with the later films.
Oh, that I can relate to.
Yeah, exactly.
Good. Chad, you're just wonderful about this. I have also a sneak preview. Chad has shown me, as he did with Loch Ness. He showed me the design for the staging. You want to be transported into the inside of an Imperial cruiser, you might just want to see this play.
There you go.
Great to see you. May the Force be with you. And,
thank you, sir.
And thank you for taking the time to come in, because I know you're really busy.
I appreciate being here.
Okay. Don't forget, Adirondack Theatre Festival, next play, Jedi. What's the real name?
The Jedi Handbook.
Oh, the Jedi
Handbook.
Okay, the Jedi Handbook. Thank you. To see this interview again, you can head to our website, looktvonline.com.